All right, we're live.
All right.
Who's watching? I got a feeling somebody's watching me, and I get no privacy. Whoa, whoa. Whoever's watching, can you make a comment, please? We're just doing a little technical setup here. There we go. We got a thumbs up. Hello, Rosemary Cameron. Welcome. All right, it's time to remove a kitty. Hi, Charlotte. All right. That's where you see the comments. Just hanging tough here, waiting for anybody with the last name Larmond to show up before we get this show on the road. Charlotte, are you watching because you want to steal the secret of my soup?
7 o'clock start time.
We're started. We're live. But of course, Larman's, we're fashionably late. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. All right, well, I guess I can go and, you can see we love art. Excellent. How bad does this screw up our lighting?
It's
Not great. All right. In the top left-hand corner. Still only 2 people. Well, I guess the show must go on after all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rough Shop. I believe this is our 5th installment. I'm stalling a little bit here because my intro was basically to dedicate this show to my dad, but they're probably just getting themselves organized here, so we'll talk about him some more. As we go on throughout the course of the show here, my dad's favorite food is sandwiches, and his almost second, but probably just about as much other favorite food is soup. So tonight we're gonna do soup and sandwich. Just bear with me a second here. Do we have any Larmans yet? No Larmans yet. Well, what am I supposed to do with those guys, eh? How's everybody doing? All 2 of my fans. I'm sorry, the beginning of the show is always awkward, but we'll get started. Okay, so, like I said, my dad loves sandwiches. Literally the man will put absolutely anything in between 2 pieces of bread, up to and including I've seen him put scoops of ice cream in whole wheat or multigrain bread. Loves sandwiches. So, interesting other side note, I got to go to the World Food Championships in 2017, and I got to go because I won the Canadian Food Championships in the sandwich category, the silver medal, and yes, you will have to hear about it every single time, but I got there on a grilled cheese sandwich. So tonight we are gonna perfect the art of the grilled cheese sandwich. See what I did there? Perfect the art. We hard art tonight here on Rough Chop. We love you, Dad. Anyhow, and then when I got to try out for MasterChef, the soup that I am going to make tonight is what I used for my recipe. So, Mexican tortilla soup is kind of a traditional soup in Mexico and other Latin countries where they need a use for their leftover tortillas. And they, of course, always have a lot of tomatoes and peppers and things like that. So this is kind of a mashup soup. So we're gonna take a little bit of a twist on a traditional grilled cheese and tomato, make it a little fancier, make it a little spicier, and have a good time. This is a super duper easy recipe to do, but there are some technical things you have to watch out for. So pay attention and I'll give you some tips and tricks and then we'll be good to go. All right, so my step one is I have to get the tortillas ready. Normally, Mexican kitchen, they fry their own tortillas, and of course they've already got a giant pile of them ready to go. Canadian kitchen, we don't really have a deep fryer, and I don't really feel like using a deep fryer because I'd rather keep this a little bit lighter. So we are going to start by grilling the tortillas for our soup. Now, first thing we need to do is turn our oven on. We're going to do that to 400 degrees. Excellent news. It's ready to go. And of course, we're going to find our ever-present olive oil. Now, this is super easy to do. We're just going to take our olive oil. And 1 teaspoon or 1 caplet, they're generally add up to be the same. Well, let's actually see if that's true. Helps if I don't spill. Absolutely true. Almost exactly a teaspoon. Spread that around a little tiny bit, and then we're just going to take the other tortilla and give them one of these. Then we're going to flip this bad boy over. You're going to get a little olive oil in your hands. It's not that big of a deal. Just make sure that you have a little bit of oil on both of your tortillas. We're going to do a little bit of salt. And of course, the pepper. Let's give that a little bit of a pat. Forgot my hand towel. And then we're going to get a little slice of tin foil. Grill is currently not on, so don't worry about that. Where's my knife? My goodness. All right, can I have a little bit of a close-up, please? Everyone say hi, Jason. We have our cameraman here. Oh, no. Well, that works too. You can just, usually just, you know what I'm talking about. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna make tiny, tiny little strips. If I was making this soup for my dad, I wouldn't put these on because he doesn't like crispy things in his soups or his salads, and he calls them bolts. It's hilarious. I used to constantly tell my mother not to put bolts in his salad. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just kind of spread those out. I like to just kind of fold the pan edges up a little. And super easy, we're just gonna throw that in the oven. And in she goes. All right. Have we had anyone new join us that I should say hello to, Jason?
Yeah, there's 6 or 7 people on there.
Excellent. Good.
Jennifer says hi.
Hi, Jennifer. Do we have Stephen Larmont?
Yeah, he logged in.
Excellent news. Does that mean my pop is watching?
I don't know.
Theme of the evening. We heart art. We heart art. For those of you just tuning in, we're dedicating this show to my dad tonight. We're making his 2 favorite foods, soup and sandwich. All right, so let's just suppose that you come home from work and you're wanting to make a quick meal, and while this looks like it's not going to be that, keep in mind I set this all up so that we can do the show, and it's really quite easy to do a from scratch vegetable soup and then have it ready in like half an hour. So first thing you're gonna wanna do, move my bread here, is get yourself a nice baking sheet. Put some parchment on there. Now, I've become a parchment snob. Quite frankly, it just makes all the dishes so much easier to do. And I don't want to feel bad about it, but the other day I was whining because I ran out of parchment and had to give myself a little pep talk about how I'd lived 45 or so years without ever using or knowing what parchment paper was. And then my beautiful cousin Chanel came along at North Country Fair and showed me the beauty of parchment paper. And here we are. All right, so we have one container, you know, the clamshells that you buy of probably, these are a medium-sized cherry tomato. You can also use 4 big tomatoes, or you can use twice, like just one container of tomatoes, whatever size. It's all gonna get blended in the end, so don't worry about it. 1 clamshell of tomatoes. We're gonna do 1 green pepper. We're gonna do 2 jalapeno peppers. We're gonna remember to take the sticker off of this green pepper. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? There you go. So you got in the door, you're relaxed, you got the oven on, have a glass of wine or a giant container of water. And you got your oven on, you got tortillas going. That's it. Now we're going to take the tip of our knife and just make sure we poke 1 or 2 holes in every vegetable. Now we don't want to pick too many because then the skins will get soggy. And we want them to kind of burst. There we go. Literally, it's that easy. So we've got 1 teaspoon olive oil, which as we've learned is the same amount as the cap on the bottom. We put our vegetables down. We're going to go back in with another one. And this is important because this is pretty much the only fat this soup is going to get. I'm using olive oil. If you want to get crazy, you can use coconut oil. Just drizzle all over those veggies. Now we are not going to put salt and pepper on them right now because salt will draw the liquid out, and because we're making a soup, we want these to stay nice and juicy.
Jessica and Ed said hi. Robert said hi.
Hi! Hey everybody! All right, there's our veggie. Guess what we do? We pop them in the oven. Now, if you like me, it's very, very smart right now to set a timer. We're gonna set the timer for 20 minutes at 400 degrees, and that is going to get us set up. All right, what's next? We're gonna talk about sandwiches. Okay. The grilled cheese sandwich is an extremely simple sandwich, and it is arguably one of the best sandwiches. However, every single one of us has had a grilled cheese sandwich that's kind of sucked. How do you make a grilled cheese sandwich suck? You use gross bread. You cook it too fast. You don't cook it enough. Your bread gets soggy. You use crappy cheese. All of these things we will not do tonight. We will not do. All right. I'm going to use my electric griddle, which is the best device for making grilled cheese sandwiches, especially if you have a family with more than 2 people in it. We're going to set that grill at 275, and that might still be too hot. For us, I have chosen a lovely multigrain bread, which we're going to do the cheese with a little bit of filling. And then we have some high quality, good old white bread. You can use Wonder Bread, you can use bargain bread, but your best bread is going to be from the bakery, either the whatever grocery store you go to if they have a bakery. Get their bread. Okay? Now, back in the day, I used to believe that butter was the only way to make a grilled cheese sandwich. When I was testing recipes for my grilled cheese sandwich in competition, somebody said, you need to use mayonnaise. I said, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. They're like, try it once. You won't ever go back. All right, I will try it once. Needless to say, it's the way we're gonna do it. Okay, so I got my girl on here. We're gonna take a little sidebar, and I'm like, I know you're like, Odessa, you just said don't use butter. But we have to season the grill with butter. Now, this is where it gets, you gotta be very careful here. We want it to be warm enough so that it will slowly brown the bread and melt the cheese, but get a nice crispy exterior, and then you don't have any unmelted cheese. So we're just gonna put a little butter on there. If it starts to like melt and lightly sizzle, that's great. That's what we're looking for. If it starts to burn really fast, it's too hot. And if it's just sitting there a lump and going, blah, 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 not hot. I've got this set at 275. That seems to be the sweet spot. Again, if you're using a frying pan, just throw a lump of butter in there and see what it does, right? All right. So, let's start with just good old plain grilled cheese. Take our white bread, we take our good old mayonnaise, and what I like about mayonnaise is that it's got a variety of oils in it, and most of them have a pretty low smoke point. So what that means is you're not going to burn as fast, and you can still really get that crispy, brown, delicious exterior, okay? The other thing is that you don't need that much of it because it spreads really well. And because of the way we're making this sandwich, that we're going to really slowly melt it, and there's quite a bit of fat in the cheese, we don't need to get crazy. What we do want is to make absolutely sure every little bit of that bread is coated and that we don't have any extra. We're just going to scrape a little bit off there. All right, that's too hot. I see smoke. It's also a good idea to wait it out for a few minutes until your pan decides what it's going to do. If we were making pancakes, we'd make a test pancake, but we're not. All right, so we're going to do 2 of these good old regular sandwiches, plain old straight up grilled cheese. And we will need mayonnaise on each side of 4 pieces of bread in order to make 2 sandwiches. Correctamundo. Excellent. Okay. While we have the mayo out, let's do this whole grain bread. Now, when you use a white bread, we're going to want to put mostly just cheese, maybe cheese and mustard, cheese and a light non-soggy condiment. When you're using a whole wheat bread, you can get a little more creative with what goes inside the sandwich, which we will discuss here in a little bit. Now, because you have your grill set at the right temperature and you're watching it to make sure it's not too smoky, you don't really have to worry too hard about rushing. You can take your time, but don't go one sandwich at a time. You want them all to be heating at the same time, so you don't have to be checking them nonstop. All right. Perfect. Done. So about a teaspoon, a good glug of mayonnaise, and again, make sure it's spread on really well and that you have it on all the edges and that you have made sure there isn't any excess, which is a little harder to do on the whole wheat bread because there's a lot more ridges. All right, so we're going to put the white bread down, and this one we're going to use, this is a, because we're doing a Mexican tomato salad, or salad soup, bleh, I decided to go with the jalapeno havarti. So that's just a good little pinchful. Now I caution you against putting too much cheese, simply because then your balance is off. You want crispy bread, cheesy inside, crispy bread. We don't want any saggos. Do we? No, no, no. This exact technique that we're doing works the same with vegan mayonnaise and vegan cheese. All right, now we're gonna get a little crazy and just throw the tiniest little sprinkling of Tex-Mex blend on there. You don't have to if you don't want to. And of course, any medium to hard cheese is gonna do just fine in here. I highly recommend you use shredded cheese instead of slices because it melts so much better and so much faster, and it all happens at the same time. Okay, now we got to get to work on putting the lids. Now, don't do what I do, and the mayonnaise goes on the outside of the sandwich. Cannot imagine how many times I've had to flip a piece of bread over and then scrape all the cheese off because I wasn't paying attention. All right, let's get our flipper here. We are going to do a tiny press, nothing too serious. And now we wait. We can go up the tiniest bit. Okay, so now we have our whole wheat sandwiches. And like we said, we can definitely handle a little bit more filling in there. So this one we're going to get crazy with, okay? Now let's put our bread down. Doesn't help. Now this one we're going to go mostly the Tex-Mex cheese. And don't worry if some of it falls onto the grill, my friends, because that is the best part, when the cheese gets all brown and crispy. Now here's where you can go renegade and put pretty much anything you want in your sandwich as long as it does not qualify as a sago. A sago is a pickle that you have not patted dry. Tomatoes are notorious for ruining grilled cheese sandwiches. If you want to seed them, that's fine. Any wet condiments you're going to want to use care with, but they could go in quite well. Bacon is fantastic. Herbs are fantastic. Onions, garlic, anything you basically want to put in a sandwich. Just keep in mind your ratio and your amount of moisture. So earlier today, I grilled up some onions in just olive oil with salt and pepper. And that's what we're gonna use right here. I wouldn't recommend this in the white bread sandwich. In the white bread sandwich, you could probably like get away with a slice of ham or definitely things that don't have a lot of moisture. Let's just get those on there. And honestly, you can do up a couple of onions at the beginning of the week and have caramelized onions that go on basically anything. Now, the great thing about soup and sandwich is that it's after Christmas, and of course we're all broke, and soup and sandwich can be quite cost effective. So it's 7 ways of grilled cheese could happen quite easily, and has happened quite easily. I feel like I want to get crazy, but then it's going to be too moist, so we won't get crazy. All right, now we're going to pop those on there, and again, just give them one tiny little squish just to get all the stuff together. And then we're basically going to leave that alone. I'm going to take a 30-second break to come and see what's up. Hello, everyone. Hello. Who's all here? Let's see. Show me. I don't know how to do it either. Well, it looks like we're having a good time anyway, and this is a great time to focus on. Boo-boo. Oh, we heart art. We heart you art. Oh, What have I done? What have I done? There we go. Enough messing with the technicals. All right, now while we are waiting for that, I find myself quite peckish, so I think it might be time for a bite of cheese. Oh, we're just gonna leave that alone. And now it's time to make our soup. What else did I want to talk about? I've been making soup for a long, long time. I learned how to make soup from my grandma, Larmond. She came to stay with us several times when we lived out on the farm when we were growing up. Taught me a lot of things about cooking. But wow, that woman made amazing soup. And it's just kind of a lesson that stuck. So, here we go.
Steve says hi, Dad's enjoying.
Excellent. Hi, Dad. Let's make some soup. And I have extras of this, so you're going to get some of this too. But, all right. If you don't have a blender, it's cool. You can use a food processor. You can use a potato masher. You can use whatever you want. I have a blender. We'll make this easy. Naturally, because we don't have all day, I did a pan of the ingredients for the soup in advance. And you're thinking, but Odessa, stems, seeds, what do I do? Well, it's quite easy. Tomatoes, we're just gonna pluck the little tomato top out of there, and in the blender she goes. Boop, boop, boo. Tomatoes are remarkably good for you and generally taste much better when cooked. I do love a tomato sandwich, but for the most part, I need my potatoes to be cooked. Okay, so obviously the jalapeno pepper is spicy. If you don't want your soup to be spicy, we're just gonna super easily scoop the seeds out, rip that up. Let's do that again. Just get them seeds out of there. Now these are some medium heat California serrano peppers. If you don't have those, throw in a couple of hot peppers, throw in a couple of red peppers. Honestly, as long as you have about half a blender worth of vegetables, you're gonna be set. If some of them happen to have a pretty tough skin, you can just yank that off, but I really like it. It adds some body and volume. Here's a fun fact for you guys. Did you know that I very first ever talked to Jason the day I tried out for MasterChef and made this soup? Isn't that special? Aww, it's a very special soup. Not that he got to taste it or anything, but he was my cheerleader that whole day. Has an even funnier story. I feel like it's okay to talk about now. I'm pretty sure the only reason I didn't get selected to be on MasterChef is because I completely botched my video because I'd had 19 cups of coffee that day, and when it was finally my time to be interviewed, I nearly pooped my pants and got out of there as fast as humanly possible. Yeah, it was not great, but it's a memory. I had a super fun time anyway. See, look at that. Parchment paper. Off of the pan, into the garbage. Off of the pan, out of the way. What's going on? My cameraman is bobbling around a little bit. Okay, so here we have the goods from the oven. The question is, where did I put my measuring spoon? At this point in time, we're going to have a quick look here. Oh, that's what we're looking for right there. If you happen to like it a little darker or a little lighter, that's entirely at your purview. Oh, that one needs a little bit more time on this side. The whole wheat usually takes a little longer to cook. Okay. Sorry, Rach, I don't know where my measuring spoon went. 1 teaspoon. Sea salt. teaspoon. I must have gotten some sassy comment about almost pooping my pants, seriously.
Yeah.
Like butt-clenchingly bad, ran out of the interview. It can't be more clear about how badly that went for me. And then we're gonna do 1, maybe 2 teaspoons of chili powder. We're gonna give it with the pepper. And then we're gonna bring the blender over here. No, we're not. Can you still see me?
Oh yeah.
Excellent news. All right, safety tip number 1. This has been cooled. This has been cooled. In your kitchen, neither of these items will be cool. So, we're gonna take the top out of your blender so that you have the hole, but there's somewhere for the steam to go. It's also very important that you do this so that the hot water does not blow back up in your face and burn you. This is my homemade stock that I make for my beloved father because he likes it a lot. I also make enough extra to make delicious soups. But if you don't have your own stock, you can use the stuff that comes in a Tetra Pak and it will be just as delicious. Now, that is a thick consistency like a stew. That was about 1 cup of stock. I wanted a little thinner, and this is entirely up to you if you like a thicker soup. I like a thinner soup. I want to be able to dip those sandwiches in. All right. Let's see what we got here, folks. Wow. Well,
Spicy?
that's pretty spicy, yeah. We're gonna add some more water to that. Medium heat. Serrano's my ass. Feels like Bobby Flay's up in here. Woo! All right, that looks much better. Now, same goes for you guys. Let's just get a soup pot here. Get this back up to boiling. While we check on our Sammies here. Oh, smells like my tortillas are ready. Down. Okay, so we got our soup heating up, and it's time to flip these bad boys, I'm guessing. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that. That's perfect. Gonna check on these bad boys. Oh, they still got a little ways to go. Oh my, this cheese is falling off. Whatever will I do? Right. Got the sandwiches flipped. I'm just gonna wait it out a little bit here. Now's a good time to clean up the mess a little bit. And, oh yeah, I need sour cream. Normally when you're doing a live video, you're not supposed to plug any products, but I think we all know Dairyland sour cream is the best of all the sour creams. No two ways about it. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to work pretty hard on this soup before I feed it to Art, because wow, that's spicy. I feel like I'm on an episode of Hollands. I'm a spice wuss though, so.
You added a lot of pepper
I did.
at the end.
I did. All right, so we are going to take, this is a 250, or pardon me, a 500 milligram container of sour cream. So we're going to take approximately 1/3 of it and scoop it in little bit for the top as well. Get out the old whiskeroo. Great news, this soup stays in the fridge and it has very little animal product in it, so it will last a little bit longer than most. It also freezes very well, but you will have to definitely give it a good stir when you're reheating it, just because the milk solids will need a good whip up. And there we have it. Okay. There we have our delicious, creamy Mexican tortilla soup. Ooh, 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 ooh. Where's the tortillas, you say? Well, they're right here. Don't worry, Dad, I won't put any bolts on your soup. Now, the fun thing about this is in Mexico, usually they'll have limes and more cheese and wedges of avocado and chunks of tomato, and it's kind of like the Mexican version of dim sum where you can just put whatever you want in your soup and make it into your own soup. So we're gonna put a pile of those on top. Oh, and I threw my spoon. I threw my spoon like a fool. We'll just do the tiniest little bit of sour cream on there. You can do salsa, you can do avocados. We'll finish that with a little bit of salt. I think I'll skip the pepper. And then let's have a taste of one of these sandwiches here. Oh yeah. Look at that. That's gonna be some tasty business, which we are gonna eat immediately after this. Don't be afraid in the kitchen. Roast up some veggies, mix it with stock, it's soup. Throw in some herbs, make it your own. And same goes for the grilled cheese. If you stick to the rules we have made here, you can have a lot of success and your children will be very, very happy. And we're just about done here, so let's just take a moment to send out some hugs and kisses for Dad. You are the crazy, stubbornest, strongest man I have ever met and ever known, and I'm so proud of you and so happy that you are still here kicking ass. So love y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye. Goodbye. How do we end this?